Hello, all, and welcome to Sokscast, a new show where I discuss things in GD with other people in the community. And to start off our first episode, we have our first guest, Tria. Tria, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Tria. So, fun fact about me, I'm actually an IRL friend of Boomsoks. I play GD on controller. I've been playing on and off since 1.6, and my hardest game is currently Black Blizzard. Yeah, thanks for having me, Boomsoks.
Of course, thanks for coming. Now, before we get any further into the video, me and Tria have some business we need to discuss.
Oh, we do.
He challenged me to beat Awakening Horus in about a month, and after a long and perilous journey, I finally beat it.
Wait, what?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god, bro! Bro, I was waiting for you to say psych. Okay. Oh my god.
So, as a punishment, Tria has kindly offered to pick my next two insane demons.
I did indeed, yep. Okay, so I'm going to drop two IDs in our Discord chat.
Okay.
And yeah, so the first one is a level that I've actually beaten earlier this year, and I really do like it. It does definitely go against your skill set though, so I think it'll be a nice little challenge for you. But it is a level that I really like. The second one is a level that I have not beaten yet, but I want to, so I'm going to let you be the guinea pig. So you can let me know if it's bad.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yep, so there are your two IDs.
Ooh, I like the patterns in them.
Yeah, no, they're fun IDs, both of them.
So this first one is Rampage by Vlad. I think I've done practice runs of this one before.
Yeah, it's a good level. It's definitely second half heavy, which I know you're not the biggest fan of, but we gotta get you on the second half heavy train.
Oh yay! I'm looking forward to it. And this next one is Ulan. How do you say this?
I don't even know how to say it. I'm not gonna lie. It's in the amber tier in the GDP. That's kind of all I know. I've seen a couple of videos of it, and it looks pretty cool. But I don't know. So I'll let you find out. It's got a nice little memory section in there, which I know you do like. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys posted on progress within the coming weeks, months, years, however long it takes.
After you beat Awakening Horus, though.
After I beat Awakening Horus. So, in this episode, folks, me and Tria are going to discuss what it means to be a player and how to push yourself to beat harder and harder demons. Before getting into the thick of it, I want to start us off with some little opener questions to kind of ease us into everything. You already answered your hardest demon, which is Black Blizzard, but what's your favorite level?
Yeah, I'm going to have to give a boring answer to this one. I'm just going to have to say Acu. I love Acu, man. Acu by Nishru is just such a good level. I was on the Awakening Horus train for a really long time, but Acu is the only level that I can load into the game every single time I play it and not have any complaints. Like, you know how much I love Blade of Justice. I adore Blade of Justice, but every time I play it, I'm like, man, this could be just a little better, this could be just a little better. Same thing with Awakening Horus. I'm like, oh, if this were just nerfed a little bit, or this were made a little more excessive, blah, blah, blah. Acu, I have zero complaints. That level is a masterpiece.
What about your favorite creator?
I'm going to have to say Heinz. Go back to 2017, 2018. I love Heinz, man. Heinz style, it never gets old. It's timeless. Like, even though the game has rapidly evolved over the last couple of years, I still think Heinz levels stand out to this day. I love them. They're always just a good way to challenge yourself without getting too annoyed. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I think like his levels tend to go against my skill set. They feature a lot of ball timing, which I'm usually not very good at. But it's always a fun challenge. It's not like a Sakup and Hell thing where you're just slamming your head against the wall for 28,000 attempts. It's like you get to play this nice, like, well thought out level. They're just always a great time. I love Heinz levels.
Yeah. And how about your least favorite level?
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty easy one. That's got to be the Janus Miracle. If I don't think I'll play anything worse than the Janus Miracle. That's probably gonna be the least favorite for a long time. Ice Carbon's Dust comes really close, but I don't think I'm gonna play a level that's more ass than the Janus Miracle unless I do like Ice Cream by Cyclic. But I'm not planning on doing that.
So now to kind of really get into it, how did you get into GD?
So this actually starts before Geometry ever came out. So this was back in, oh man, what was this? 2012, 2012 or 2013. I was at the bowling alley near my house at the time, and this guy who I was on a team with for our bowling league, he was playing this game, and it looked really cool. And I was like, hey, what is this? And he said, it's the Impossible game. And I downloaded it. I started playing it. I fell in love, man. I loved that game so much. I beat all the levels so many times. And eventually, I think I was 10 or 11, and one of my other friends said, "Hey Nick, I know you love the Impossible game so much. There's this really cool game called Geometry Dash, and it's got more levels. It's got all these colors and different songs. I think you would really, really like it." And at first I was like, "What? They're copying the Impossible game. Like, how could they do that? That's horrible." I was like boycotting this thing. I was like, "I'm never playing this. No way." But then eventually I realized the Impossible game, like they're not making any more levels. So
Yeah.
I turned my back on it. I downloaded Geometry Dash, and there was just no going back. I've loved it pretty much ever since.
Turned Impossible game to the sun.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, what were some of your first like major accomplishments once you got into it?
I don't remember the exact point, but it wasn't a specific level or a specific stat. But for me, it was really once I got better than all my friends, because I've never been good at video games. Even to this day, I'm just not naturally talented when it comes to video games. And I've always been late to gaming trends, like with Super Smash Bros, for example. All my friends started playing that, and then I was horrible because I came in later. Same thing with Minecraft. But with Geometry Dash, I eventually got better than all my friends, and I was beating levels that they couldn't beat, and beating other levels just I'm a lot quicker than they could beat. So that's when I realized, like, hey, I'm actually good at something. That's a video game. Like, this is really cool, and that's when I realized I had to keep playing.
So, when did you realize you wanted to start beating harder levels, like Insanes and Extremes, like you do now?
Yeah, it wasn't for a while after that, actually, because when I was a kid, I never really wanted to push myself. Even to this day, I hate failing. Like, one of my least favorite feelings in the world is giving everything my all, 110%, and then not being enough. I hate that feeling so much. So I didn't really like doing hard levels. I was much more of a star grinder for a while, but that was until I saw a video of Space Locked. For whatever reason, I knew I had to beat Space Locked. My hardest demon at the time was probably Deadlocked, or maybe some other like easy demon, but I didn't care. I was like, no, I'm beating this level, and it took freaking months, man. It took so long. Like it took under 10k attempts, I'm pretty sure. But between phone and getting it on my PC at the time, I was like, I have to beat this level, and then I did. And once I beat that level, and once I felt that feeling of doing something that I genuinely thought was impossible, there was no turning back. I knew I had to go harder. I knew I had to keep pushing myself.
I could kind of relate to that because I beat Space Locked as like my 72nd demon, like on mobile, and once I beat it, I was like amazed. There was so many levels opened up to me after that.
Oh yeah, I think Space Locked was my 40th demon, but I didn't beat it on mobile though. Oh, I did eventually, but not like the first time I did it on my PC. I couldn't do it on my phone, no matter how hard I tried.
Even to this day, it's still like one of my favorite levels.
It's a good level.
It really is. So, one of your first big achievements was Cosmic Calamity, and what kind of caused you to go for it?
Oh man, so when I was 15, that's I'd say a beginning of what year was that? 2018. That's when I really started having these big aspirations when it comes to Geometry Dash. I saw all these levels that were at the top or towards the top, like main list or maybe low or high extended list rather. And there were all these levels that I just really, really wanted to beat. I really, really liked. But if you came up to me when I was 15 and said, Nick, what are 2 levels that you absolutely have to beat before you die? I would have said Cosmic Calamity, number 1, and Deception Dive, number 2, which I'm pretty sure we'll talk about a little bit later. And yeah, I just knew I had to beat this level. But quickly after that, I got into Rocket League and I kind of stopped playing Geometry Dash for a while.
Yeah.
But I came back to it, and at some point recently, and I decided to start beating some of the levels that I never got around to or couldn't finish when I was younger. And one of those levels was actually Poltergeist by Andromeda. It's a level I dropped at the beginning of 2017 because it was too hard for me.
Yeah.
And I came back to it and beat it in like 600 attempts, and I was like, okay, well that wasn't challenging enough. I want a challenge, so I'm going to beat a new hardest demon. My hardest was Acropolis by Zobros at the time. And I wasn't ready for extremes yet, but I was like, yeah, let's do a harder, insane demon. And Cosmic Calamity was that was the choice.
And then, what did Cosmic Calamity teach you, like, in terms of a player?
It just taught me that I love Geometry Dash, plain and simple. Because during my time without playing, I really grinded Rocket League. I got to Grand Champ in Rocket League, solo queued to Grand Champ in Rocket League in 2v2. And it just wasn't that rewarding, you know, like the 2,300 hours it took. It didn't feel like it. Like, as soon as I did that, I was like, no, never again. I don't want to play this game anymore. But grinding Cosmic Calamity for 5 days which I know is like nothing to me now, but back then that was a big deal. Pushing myself to my absolute limit and then succeeding, that was a feeling that I had never felt before. Well, it was a feeling I felt before, but never to that magnitude. And it really taught me that I live for the feeling of doing something that I think is genuinely impossible.
So you were absolutely right about us talking about Deception Dive. And I wanted to kind of dive into your struggles of beating it, as I know you didn't have the best experience with it your first or second time beating it.
Both times sucked. Yeah, so the first time, this was just me screwing around. I was in my dorm room, late April of this year, and I was just playing for fun. I think because my controller had terrible stick drift, so I couldn't really play Rocket League.
Yeah.
Which I had recently gotten back into, so I was like, whatever, I'll just play Geometry Dash. But I didn't want to beat a level, so I just did what I had done in previous years, where I just grabbed a copy of Deception Dive, put like 300 attempts into it, and just something, like my intrusive thoughts always get to me with this game. Something was telling me like, it'd be a shame if you stopped playing. I feel like you should just go for it. I was like, no, that's a terrible idea. This level's impossible. And I was like, nah, you're right. I'm going for it. So I did, and man, it was brutal. So I had 98 deaths in the last 30%.
Yikes.
It took like 8k attempts. It was brutal. And I didn't get to record it because I didn't really know it at the time, but I was having driver issues. I just needed to update my drivers. Or I think I did, and like the update failed or something like that. So I'm pretty sure you remember me telling you that like every 5 minutes playing the game, I would get these 2 horrible lag spikes.
Yeah.
Consistently. And I couldn't record, so I beat the level. It was an incredible feeling. And then a couple weeks later, I started my channel, and I realized, like, I'm going to have to beat that again eventually. So I did a couple months later. I think, it was September. Decided, look, now's the time. And man, it was not the time. Oh my god, so bad, bro. I should have. If you guys don't know the story, if you haven't seen the video, I was about to fluke it from 60%, fluke the hard parts, and then I started celebrating. I died. Died to the first click in disc part, which I was like insanely consistent at.
And I was in that stream, and I won't forget that moment.
Yeah, I won't forget that moment either, believe it or not. So yeah, I beat it twice. Didn't like it either time, but it definitely felt good to beat a level that I had dreamed of beating. Even if it was a bad experience, so worth it.
Yeah. When it came to picking your next extreme, what would you often look for? And is there anything that would deter you from picking certain levels?
To answer your last question, definitely. So look, this makes no sense because I did Deception Dive, but I knew my habits with this game, where in that time where I was mostly focusing on Rocket League, I would play a level that was hard for me, play like a different level, and then have a bad experience with it and quit the game for 6 months, 8 months, 2 years. So I knew that if I was not careful, I was going to play a bad level and then put down the game, maybe even for good. Because who knows? I'm 21. Who knows how many more years of gaming I have left?
Yeah.
There's a good chance if I play a really bad level and I close this game down, I may never open it ever again. So I was very, very cautious, and for some reason, the one thing that deterred me more than anything else was learning levels at the time. I hated memory gameplay, I hated asymmetric duels, which is something I used to love back in the day. But I was very careful. I wanted to be something that was very straight to the point. Eventually that changed, but at the time, that's something I would definitely stray away from. But in terms of just picking my next extreme, at first, I think my next extreme was Misty Mountains. I did that just because I saw a video of it and it looked cool.
Yeah.
But after that, it was really just putting everything on an RNG wheel because there were so many levels I wanted to beat, and I couldn't decide what order to do them in. So this goes for extremes and non-extremes. I would just put stuff on an RNG wheel, give her a good spin, and whatever it landed on, that's what I would do for the most part. And every once in a while, I would beat something that I had been previously too scared to do just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it was just I let RNG choose what I did.
So, shortly after Deception Dive, you ended up beating Plasma Pulse 3, which was one of your new hardest at the time. And it's really when your channel started to blow up and you began to really pop off on content. So how do you feel about that era of your online career?
Oh man, I still remember the feeling of spinning that right after doing Necropolix. I went upstairs and I was sitting down at the dining room table and I thought about just quitting YouTube right there.
Really?
Cool. And yeah, Like you said, that's when I started actually getting like some views. I think the Necropolis video got like 300 views, which at the time was insane for me. And I was like, is this even worth it? Like, what am I doing to myself? You know, I don't think I could do it. That was the first time I had truly doubted myself in a while.
Yeah.
Because Plasma Pulse 3, you know, back in the day, like 2018, that was one of the top levels.
Oh yeah,
That was like high mainlands, like top 20, I think.
it was up there.
So that was a level that I looked up to as something that would ever be out of my skill range. So I was like, there's no way, like I can't do it. Like what am I doing? So I thought, I was like, maybe I'll just delete the channel, like whatever. I genuinely thought about it, but I was like, all right, look, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. And then I ended up beating it, and it's actually one of my favorite levels, like to this day. I love Plasma Pulse 3.
And no, it's good that you got such a good experience with a level, you know, that hard for you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So later on in your career, you would end up beating Black Blizzard and make a video talking about the cycle of beating a new hardest. And myself as a player, I could relate to that. I've definitely gone through that, beating some of the levels I've gone through. But what was your kind of process for making that video and talking about just that cycle?
Yeah, so I feel like with Black Blizzard, I really felt every single stage of the cycle in sequential order. It just felt like something I could make a story out of. It wasn't like previous hardests where Sakup and Hell, it was just straight up hopelessness from attempt 1 to attempt 28,000. Just complete, utter hopelessness, smashing your head against the wall. With Black Blizzard, again, that Black Blizzard it was more than just a level to me. I always adored Black Blizzard. You know, that level introduced me to Creo, who's to this day my favorite music artist. I've always loved Black Blizzard, and yeah, like I said, I just felt every single phase for an extended period of time. Like you start off and you're super excited, but you're also nervous. You're intimidated when you start your next new hardest demon. You can't even do 4 clicks; it's impossible. But then you keep pushing through a little bit, and eventually the progress starts coming pretty quick. Like you're living the high life, man. You start getting these crazy runs, you're making progress, parts are coming easier, you're in that honeymoon phase. And then eventually I hit a wall because of, you know, just that's what happens when you're playing the game, but also technical issues, and went into that hopelessness phase, kind of like what I mentioned with Sakup and Hell. Not quite as bad, but definitely was feeling that for a while. But eventually just put everything aside and gave it that final push, that incredible 5-hour grind that led to me beating it. I just felt like I was truly able to capture every single moment of every single phase. And like I said earlier, it was something I could make a story out of. Whereas with past hearts like Sakup and Hell, it was just straight negativity the entire time. This, with Black Blizzard, you truly felt the roller coaster.
So, what are your thoughts on jumping to levels compared to creating ladders for them? For example, jumping from Bloodbath to Coaretta versus making a ladder from Bloodbath, beating some harder and harder list levels before getting to Coaretta.
I do feel very strongly on this topic. I am relatively against jumping because if you want to actually improve at the game, you have to, and you want to jump, you have to do it very, very carefully. Now, I'll preface this by saying, if there's a level you like, then it's out of your skill range, and you just want to play it, go play it. Who am I to say that you can't play this level that you like? If you genuinely like playing a level, go ahead and play it. But I would not suggest dropping everything once you beat Bloodbath to go right to Coaretta. Now, let me tell you why I say you have to jump very carefully. And that is because if you jump to a level like Coaretta, you're going to get pretty good at timings, and that's kind of it. Right? You'll be decent at timing, well, you'll be good at those timings. Like, you're getting better at the level, but you're not getting better at timings overall. Because, like, with timings, for example, you have to do all different types of timings, not just the ones that are featured at a certain level to be good. This is kind of illustrated when I beat Sakup and Hell. I thought I was going to beat Sakup and Hell and be the Wave God. I was like, no, that's it. I'm going to beat this level and I'm going to be the king. I've beaten Sakup and Hell twice, and you still see me struggle to learn wave parts because it's just not that simple. I think to improve at the game, you have to consistently push yourself just a little bit harder each time you play. I like to think of it as working out, going to the gym. If you just did 20 push-ups for the first time, I don't think you're ready to start benching your body weight. You got to progressively overload yourself just a little bit each time. And I think the consistent challenges, that's going to be a lot better for your physical skill and for also your mental toughness than just sitting down and grinding one level. Because so many people that jump, they go through this intense grind, and then they end up hating the level and they regret it. I think if you make a ladder that encapsulates all different skill sets, you will improve much more efficiently than if you were to jump to Colorado,
Yeah.
for example.
Now, you've beaten some pretty notorious levels, like Bloodbath, Black Blizzard, Blade of Justice, and some other ones that don't start with a B. But you beat them all on controller. So how do you feel playing on controller matches up to some of the other game styles out there?
I'll just say it right now. Look, controller's not any better. It's probably worse than playing on mouse or up arrow, spacebar, SAO device. I would be the first one to admit that controller is not the best way. I do not recommend playing on controller. With that being said, I am just better on controller than I am with any other. I don't even know how to, like you said, any other playing mechanism. So when I first got my PC in 2016, I played on mouse for 6 months.
Did you?
My hardest demon on mouse, yeah, I did. Hardest demon on mouse was Swing Squad by Zogros and a couple other people, and I was trying to do Stalemate, and I couldn't do it. I died at 97 and I couldn't beat it. Then eventually, Christmas came around, Christmas 2016. I was like, Mom, I kind of want a controller so I could play Geometry Dash using my thumb rather than my index finger. She was like, all right, sure, whatever. Got me a controller for Christmas. It was a 90-day difference, man. I plugged that thing in. It was not placebo. I was just objectively better and more comfortable. Like, I was just made to be a controller player. I've tried to come back to mouse. I tried beating your 7-star level on an up arrow.
Oh,
You saw how that went. That was horrible. Really embarrassing. I'm just made to be a controller player. I don't know. It's just easier for me. Not really anything in terms of, like, me knowing something that you guys don't like. Oh, controller, this is a secret strat. No. It's just in my cards, you know? Just made to be a controller player.
When it comes to content creation, what were some of your inspirations to kind of structuring your videos and whatnot?
So my number one inspiration was definitely Brandon Larkin. Brandon Larkin's always been my inspiration. Well, first, I mean, I've always wanted to be a content creator with whatever game I was playing, even if it was just doing like trick shots with ping pong balls. I've always wanted to make videos and edit them and upload them somewhere. I didn't upload any trick shot videos, so don't go try to find them. You will not find anything, unfortunately. Maybe I'll make one in the future, but yeah, so I always wanted to make content with whatever I was doing, and I really liked the way that Brandon Larkin structured his videos, and I loved seeing him grow, because I started watching him in 2016, and even during the times when I wasn't playing the game, I would still watch all of his videos. So when I first started my channel, I structured my videos a lot around his, but I've noticed that I wasn't quite ready for that yet, I guess, if that makes sense, because, you know, your first video is never going to be very good. So I found my videos were they were a bit too long, and the pace of them was too slow. That's what I found about it. And there's someone else that I learned a lot from is Doggy. I recently found him actually because I didn't really come back into the community until like May. So when I discovered Doggy, I was hooked on his channel. I love his content. I love seeing kids that are in high school just put everything they got into a game, because, you know, when you're in high school, that's your prime time to have a social life, and you're really busy with school and gearing up for college and all that stuff. So to see someone like him just kind of drop everything, put everything into GD, and see his editing evolution over time, his playing evolution over time, creating evolution over time, was really, really inspiring. So I kind of learned how to pace my videos from watching his. So I would say he's definitely also a secondary motivation.
Lastly, just to wrap up here, what is some of your advice for people attempting to beat extremes or new hardest?
Just anyone beating their new hardest. I'm going to say two things. One is I'm going to say drop the ego. Don't compare yourself to other people, right? Like, what does it matter if it's taking you a lot of attempts? So many people, they start a new level or a new hardest level, and they're like, man, this is really hard. Like, this is going to take an embarrassing amount of attempts. Like, bro, who are you trying to impress? Compare yourself to yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just go for it. And my second piece of advice is you got this. Like, you're doing it right now. You're literally doing it. If you're playing the level, you're making progress. You are doing it. Eventually, you are going to get to the end. Eventually, it's going to happen. You just got to keep putting in the work, and you got this.
Just to finish up, where can the people find you? And is there anything we could look forward to in the future?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first I'm going to say subscribe to Boomsoks. Your heroes already. The button's right there. It's asking you to click. I mean, if you listen real carefully, hold on, just listen real quick. Subscribe to Boomsoks. Yeah, I heard that. It's telling you to subscribe. Like, I'm telling you. And I'm sure my channel link is going to be in the description. But yeah, I'm on YouTube. I think you have to search up and Tria. And no, I did not copy Nepesta from that. I promise. Yeah, you can find me there. I got an Infernal Abyss video coming out on Tuesday, which is whatever day is that, the 28th, I think. So I'm not sure if this video will be out before then or after that, but definitely check that out. We had a very interesting and controversial completion surrounding that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, and I'll be working on Dolos after that as well. So yeah, definitely check those out. I would appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. Tria, thanks for joining me. Of course.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you all enjoyed the first episode of Sokscast. And take care.